Today we're discussing why Kento Nanami is straight up the best character in Jujutsu Kaisen. Like, no cap. This dude's a former salaryman turned Jujutsu sorcerer, and he's got layers for days. We're talking complex motivations, sick abilities, and a vibe that's just different, you know? Nanami's not your typical shonen mentor. He's got his own thing going on, and it's freaking awesome. So buckle up, because we're about to break down why this guy is the GOAT of Jujutsu Kaisen. Trust me, by the end of this video, you'll be as hyped about Nanami as I am. Let's get into it. Alright, so check this out. Nanami's whole deal is super interesting because this guy actually quit being a Jujutsu sorcerer at first. Like, he straight up walked away from all that curse fighting action. Why? Because he thought it was all BS, man. But here's the kicker. He came back. And not because he suddenly thought it was cool or whatever. Nah, Nanami came back because he realized something big. At first, he was all about finding his own peace, you know? Getting away from all the craziness. But then he had this moment where he was like, yo, I can actually make a difference here. It's like he leveled up his whole mindset. He went from trying to escape to wanting to protect people. That's some serious character development right there. And the best part? He still thinks both office work and being a sorcerer are kind of foolish. But he chose to be a fool for something that matters. That's deep, man. Now let's talk about Nanami's curse technique, because it's straight fire. It's called the ratio technique, and it's as badass as it sounds. Basically, Nanami can see these weak points on anything he looks at. It's like he's got some kind of cheat code for finding critical hit spots in real life. How sick is that? But here's the thing. It's not just some random power. This technique totally fits who Nanami is as a person. Think about it. The dude used to work in finance, right? So he's all about numbers and analysis, and now he's using that same mindset to absolutely wreck curses. It's like he took his office skills and turned them into a superpower. Plus, the way he uses it in fights is so precise and calculated. It's not about brute force with Nanami. He's all about finding that perfect moment to strike. And when he does, game over, man. It just goes to show how Nanami brings his whole self to being a sorcerer, past and all. That's what makes him unique in the Jujutsu world. Okay, so we've all seen the whole mentor-student thing in anime before, right? But Nanami and Yuji's relationship, it hits different. First off, Nanami's not trying to be Yuji's best friend or anything. He keeps it professional, you know? But at the same time, you can tell he actually cares about the kid. It's like he's not gonna hold Yuji's hand, but he's always there to drop some wisdom when it counts. And the way he guides Yuji, it's not about making Yuji a mini Nanami. He's all about helping Yuji find his own path. That's some real mentor stuff right there. Plus, the contrast between Nanami's serious vibe and Yuji's energy is just chef's kiss. It creates these moments that are funny, touching, and sometimes both. And let's be real, Nanami's tough love approach, it's exactly what Yuji needs sometimes. He's not afraid to call Yuji out when he's being reckless, but he's also there to acknowledge when Yuji's done good. It's like the perfect balance, you know? Yo, let's talk about Nanami's work ethic for a sec, cause it's actually insane. This dude treats being a Jujutsu sorcerer like a 9-to-5 job, and I'm not even kidding. He's got this whole overtime technique that's just, it's so Nanami, you know? Basically, he limits his cursed energy during regular work hours, but once he hits overtime, man, he goes all out. It's like watching someone flip a switch from I'm doing my job to I'm about to end this curse's whole career. And the craziest part? This isn't just some random power-up, it's a reflection of how Nanami approaches his role as a sorcerer. He's not in it for the glory or the thrill. For him, it's work that needs to be done, and he's gonna do it right. But don't get it twisted, this doesn't mean he doesn't care. If anything, it shows how seriously he takes protecting people. He's willing to push himself beyond his limits when it really counts. And the symbolism of overtime connecting to his past as a salaryman, that's just chef's kiss. Perfect storytelling right there. Now I gotta talk about something that doesn't get enough credit. Nanami's emotional intelligence. This dude's got empathy for days, and it sets him apart from pretty much every other sorcerer out there. Like, he actually gets people, you know? And not just on a surface level, Nanami can read between the lines and understand what's really going on with someone. Remember that scene with the baker? That wasn't just small talk. Nanami genuinely cared about how she was doing. And it's not just civilians either. The way he interacts with other sorcerers, especially the younger ones, shows how tuned in he is to their feelings. He knows when to push, when to back off, and when someone just needs a listening ear. And the craziest part, he does all this while still keeping his cool professional vibe. It's like he's got this perfect balance of being understanding but not getting too wrapped up in emotions. That's a rare thing in the Jujutsu world, and it's part of what makes Nanami such a standout character. Let's take a moment to appreciate Nanami's look, because it's low-key genius. At first glance, you might think, why is this office worker fighting curses? But that's exactly the point. Nanami's whole vibe is this clash between the mundane and the supernatural. His suit and tie, that's not just a fashion choice, it's a constant reminder of his past and his outlook on being a sorcerer. It's like he's saying, yeah, I fight curses, but it's just a job. And don't even get me started on his tie. The way he uses it in fights or takes it off for overtime, that's some top-tier symbolism right there. Oh, and those glasses, they're not just for show. They help him scope out curses without them noticing. It's like every part of his design has a purpose, both practical and symbolic. The whole look just screams, I've seen some shit, but I'm still gonna be professional about it. It's a perfect visual representation of who Nanami is as a character. Alright, let's get a bit deep for a second and talk about Nanami's whole philosophy on life and being a sorcerer. This dude's got some serious thoughts, and they're not your typical shonen hero stuff. Nanami's all about the value of life, but not in a cheesy way. He sees everyone's life as important, from the big shots to the average Joes. And that shapes everything he does as a sorcerer. He's not in it for glory or to be the strongest. Nah, for Nanami it's about protecting people who can't protect themselves. But here's the kicker. He's also super real about the cost of being a sorcerer. He doesn't sugarcoat the fact that it's a dangerous, often thankless job. And that's what makes his dedication even more impressive. He knows the score, but he still chooses to do it. When you compare his outlook to someone like Gojo or Geto, you see just how unique Nanami's perspective is. He's not trying to change the whole system or become the pinnacle of jujutsu sorcery. He's just trying to do what's right, one curse at a time. And in a world of flashy techniques and big ambitions, that down-to-earth philosophy hits different. Now we gotta talk about the heavy stuff, Nanami's backstory and the whole deal with Haibara. This is where things get real, so stick with me. Haibara was Nanami's partner back in the day, and losing him, it messed Nanami up big time. But here's the thing, it's not just another tragic anime backstory. The way Nanami deals with this loss shapes his entire character. He doesn't go on some revenge quest or swear to become the strongest. Instead, it makes him question the whole system of jujutsu sorcery. It's what drives him to quit in the first place. But check this out, it's also what makes his return so powerful. He comes back not because he's over it, but because he's found a way to honor Haibara's memory by protecting others. And when you compare this to how someone like Geto reacts to loss, it's night and day. Where Geto let his grief turn into hatred, Nanami channels his into a quiet determination to do better. It's a mature, nuanced way of dealing with trauma that you don't often see in anime. And it adds this whole other layer to Nanami's character that just hits you right in the feels, you know? Okay, let's switch gears and talk about how much of a badass Nanami is in a fight. This dude is a grade 1 sorcerer, and he earns that title every time he steps up. First off, his combat style is so clean it's almost artistic. He's not about flashy moves or over-the-top techniques. Nanami's all about efficiency and precision. And let's talk about his Black Flash game. He holds the record for most consecutive Black Flashes. Do you know how insane that is? It's like hitting perfect criticals in a game, but in real life and under pressure. But here's what really sets Nanami apart in fights. It's not just about raw power with him. This guy's got tactics for days. He's always analyzing, always looking for the smart play. It's like he brings a chess player's mind to a fist fight. And the way he combines his analytical skills with his curse technique, it's a lethal combo. Watching Nanami fight is like watching a master at work. He makes it look easy, but you know there's a ton of skill and experience behind every move. It's no wonder he's respected by allies and feared by enemies. Now we gotta talk about something heavy. Nanami's death. I know it still hurts, but let's be real. The way Nanami went out was nothing short of legendary. First off, the timing of it all. Right when Yuji needed him most, Nanami shows up, barely holding it together, but still fighting. That's dedication on another level. And his last words to Yuji? You've got it from here. Man, that hit hard. It wasn't some long, drawn-out speech, just a simple acknowledgement that he believes in Yuji. That's Nanami all the way. No fuss, just raw honesty. But here's the thing. Nanami's death wasn't just a sad moment. It was a turning point for the whole story. It showed the real stakes of being a jujutsu sorcerer. No plot armor, no last-minute saves, just the harsh reality of their world. And the impact on Yuji. You can see how it changes him, how it drives him forward. Nanami's legacy lives on through Yuji and every life he saved. It's a reminder that in the world of Jujutsu Kaisen, heroes don't always make it to the end, but their influence never really dies. Let's break down Nanami's character arc, because it's a wild ride from start to finish. When we first meet him, he's this cynical ex-sorcerer who's just come back to the job. But as the story goes on, we see so many layers to this dude. It's like peeling an onion. But instead of making you cry, each layer just makes you respect him more. We see him go from treating sorcery as just a job to really embracing his role as a protector. And the way he opens up to Yuji, that's some real character growth right there. But what's cool about Nanami's development is that it's not some dramatic 180. He doesn't suddenly become all optimistic and cheery. Nah, he stays true to who he is, but we see these subtle shifts in how he approaches things. Like, he's still professional and a bit distant, but you can tell he starts to care more. And by the end, man, Nanami's journey adds so much depth to the overall story of Jujutsu Kaisen. It's like he represents this middle ground between the idealism of the younger characters and the cynicism of some of the older ones. His growth isn't just about him becoming stronger or learning new techniques. It's about finding meaning in what he does. And that's some powerful stuff. Alright, let's dive into Nanami's relationships because they're low-key one of the best parts of his character. Obviously, we've got to start with Yuji. Their mentor-student thing is top tier, but it's not just about teaching. There's this mutual respect that develops, and it's so good to see. But Nanami's not just about Yuji. His interactions with Gojo, pure gold. The way he deals with Gojo-ness is hilarious. He's like the straight man to Gojo's wild antics, and it works so well. And let's not forget about his relationships with other sorcerers, the way he looks out for Maki, or how he interacts with Megumi. It all shows different sides of Nanami. Oh, and that flashback with Haibara? It hits different when you see how close they were. It really puts Nanami's current attitude into perspective. But what's really cool is how Nanami's relationships reveal more about him. Like, you can see his caring side when he's with younger sorcerers, or his professional side when dealing with higher-ups. Each interaction peels back another layer of who Nanami is. And the best part? None of it feels forced. It all flows naturally from who Nanami is as a person. These relationships don't just add to Nanami's character. They make the whole Jujutsu Kaisen world feel more real and connected. Now, you might think Nanami's all serious business all the time, but let me tell you, this dude's got some sneaky good humor. It's not in-your-face funny, but more like dry wit that catches you off guard. Like, remember when he was teaching Yuji about using cursed energy? And he was all, fundamentally, I'm not good at teaching? That deadpan delivery was hilarious. Or how about when he's dealing with Gojo's antics? The way he just sighs and goes along with it is comedy gold. But what's really cool about Nanami's humor is how it balances out his serious side. It's like just when you think you've got him figured out as this super stern guy, he drops a one-liner that has you cracking up. And these lighter moments, they're not just for laughs. They show a whole other side of Nanami. It's like you get to see the person behind the professional sorcerer facade. Plus, the contrast between Nanami's dry humor and the more energetic characters around him. Chef's kiss. Perfect comedy setup. It's these little moments that make Nanami feel like a real person, not just some stoic mentor character. And in a series that can get pretty dark, Nanami's subtle humor is like a breath of fresh air. Alright, we're wrapping this up, but man, there's so much more we could say about Nanami. This dude isn't just a character, he's a whole vibe. Think about it. In a world of crazy powerful sorcerers and over-the-top personalities, Nanami stands out by just being real. He's got this perfect mix of badass skills and down-to-earth attitude that you can't help but respect. And the way he impacts the story, it's huge, but in this subtle way that sneaks up on you. Like, he's not out there trying to change the whole jujutsu world, but the way he influences Yuji and the other young sorcerers, that's gonna have ripple effects for generations. And let's be real, Nanami brings this whole other layer to Jujutsu Kaisen. He's like the bridge between the crazy supernatural stuff and the real world. When you see him in his suit fighting curses like it's just another day at the office, it grounds the whole series. It reminds us that even in this world of curses and sorcery, there's still room for normal human stuff like work ethic and professionalism. But what really makes Nanami the GOAT is how relatable he is. Yeah, he's got these insane powers, but at his core, he's just a dude trying to do the right thing in a messed up world. He's got doubts, he's got regrets, but he keeps pushing forward. And isn't that something we can all vibe with? So there you have it, folks. That's why Nanami is the absolute GOAT of Jujutsu Kaisen. If you weren't a Nanami fan before, I bet you are now. And if you were already a fan, well, you know what's up. Nanami gang for life. Alright, that's it for this video. If you enjoyed it, smash that like button and subscribe for more anime deep dives. And let me know in the comments who your favorite Jujutsu Kaisen character is, even if it's not Nanami. But come on, it totally should be. Catch you in a few days.